Welcome to Season 3 of the Casual Camping Podcast, your home for the best camping discussion both in and out of the field. Here are your hosts, Tim and Ade.
Hello and welcome to another wondrous episode of the Casual Camping Podcast. I'm Tim.
Oh, you're taking it so slow there, Tim. Is it because it's hot?
It's been a bit sticky, and it's a bit sticky. I'm a bit sticky. I'm a sticky Tim today.
Ooh, that doesn't sound nice. Or does it, listeners? You know, ooh, Tim gets more fan mail than me.
Have we had any fan mail? We get 5-star mediocre reviews. I don't think we call them fan mail.
No,
I haven't had any pants turn up in the post. Sorry, knickers.
Oh dear. Yes. Well, I'm just pleased that people still keep on listening. You know,
They do.
You know what
Ade,
it's
they
like.
do. We have had some 5-star mediocre reviews. I'm going to jump straight into them this week because
Brilliant.
quite often we forget. And I've got one here. Who's this? This is Morgan Williams from Norfolk, and Morgan sent this in via the text thing that's in the show notes. Evening, lads. Please accept my 5-star mediocre review. Great work. Love the banter. You were talking today about sleeping bags with the lefty zip. I ordered a snug pack one, not realizing why it was a good price. When I use it with a righty bivvy bag, the US Army modular system, it cuts out all the draft's heat loss through the bivvy zip. Just looking at Snow Peak online, Christ on a bike, I can't get management to pass a purchase order. Keep up the good work, Morgan.
You got to keep it on the down low, that one, Morgan. You really do. But yes, there are some incredible prices on those. But yeah, no, I didn't think of that. Like if you kind of double that, no leakage whatsoever.
Put a lefty and a right in. I mean, the thing is there though, you know, if you need a wee in the middle of the night, you are absolutely stuffed, aren't you? You're just wetting yourself there. You are literally, you better put a 10 a man on because you are going to have an accident.
I mean, you don't want to start turning round and like get them all the zips out of sync. It'd be terrible. Man dies, suffocated in his own bivvy.
Oh, and how we laughed.
Oh, that'll learn him. Sorry, Morgan.
Sorry, Morgan. We hope you're still with us.
We're only laughing because we've done it ourselves. That when that panic sets in, you know you can breathe within your tent and within your sleeping bag, but then when you can't find something, it's like somebody's holding you down. Panic.
Yeah, scary times. Scary times. I think you did scream like a girl just there, Ed.
I did. I often do. You know, that big girl's blouse that you talk about, that is me.
Yes. Often seen wearing it in a camping field.
Hey, that's my Snow Peak.
You'll buy anything if somebody's written Snow Peak on it with a felt tip pen.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't. Yeah, I do. I was going to say I don't like everything that they do, and you know, but then I do have quite a few things. There are a few things that I go no, but I can't think what they are.
I was in the St. James's shop and I was sitting down on like what I thought was a low seat, and it was really comfortable and it was really nice. And the guy actually came over to me and he just went, "That's a dog bed," and I went, "All right, thanks," and left.
For God's sake, Tim, where's the cred?
I know.
I hope you didn't identify yourself as my brother.
No, I did a little bark and just kind of scratched behind my ear and walked on. I was kind of sat all cross-legged on it, and it was really comfortable. And then he just came over and he went, "That's a dog bed." I went, "Oh, thank you."
Did you think it was kind of some Japanese futon?
Yeah, thought it was some kind of Japanese sit cross-leggy thing, eating some sushi kind of thing. But no, it was a dog bed. Hence why
Easily done, I suppose.
I don't buy Snow Peak stuff.
You've got lots, I know.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I've got another social shout out. We're all
Cool.
over it this week. This is hang on. Somebody definitely said don't say my name, but I don't think it's this one. Well, either way, it's Lloyd. I'm gonna say it. Your name's Lloyd.
Lloyd as?
Lloyd Alls. He says, "Hi guys, just want to say I listen to your podcast every day, always. Every day, always puts a smile on my face and never fail to make me laugh. You guys are awesome. Awesome."
Oh, you can come again. Well, I guess that our sense of humour is easy. Not like that. Not like
Steady
that,
on.
Lloyd has.
Steady on. Steady on.
But yeah, similar sense of humour. There's an awful lot of people that giggle along like Tim is doing now. But
I'm a giggler. What can I say?
yeah, and it's really interesting. I was saying just before we came on how we've had the hot weather here in the UK. It's incredible. It's summertime. Know that it's not summertime everywhere around the world. I've been watching some videos of people in snow and can't wait for the winter.
Oh,
but it's incredibly hot and yeah, taking life at quite a slow pace.
Yeah, I was looking at so Hugh, who we interviewed about Greenland, is still posting pictures of snow and ice on his socials. I tell you what, I felt cool just looking at those pictures. They were great. They were
not as cool
brilliant.
as you. No. Not as cool as you.
No one's as cool as Hugh.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. And if he's not out there doing something crazy in Iceland, he's playing lead guitar in a band. I mean, that guy. Be that guy.
And he was nice as well.
Oh. Yeah, he could have been a knob, but he wasn't.
Yeah. Hi, Hugh.
Hi, Hugh. We like you, Hugh.
Oh dear. Which kind of brings us to the topic this week about what do you do when you're camping in the extreme heat?
Hot camping.
Hot camping.
Ladies and gentlemen, camping.
Not to be confused with the episode of hot tenting.
Have we done hot tenting?
I don't know. I was meaning kind of like, winter camping with your hot tent.
Yeah, no, this is hot camping in the heat, camping when it's hot and sticky and sweaty and dirty.
Yeah. It's Sorry. You enjoyed that, Tim.
I went too far, sorry.
I was like, ooh, it's not that kind of episode, is it?
I'm too hot. I haven't drunk enough water today.
You've not. I'm on the Doom Bar. Cheers.
Oh, cheers. I've had a ghost ship, but I am drinking squash now.
You're going to go what?
I've had a pint of ghost shit.
Thank you for pronunciating.
I don't need to go.
I thought Tim was going for a toilet break.
Oh, my word.
I wasn't imagining it. There's listeners going.
No,
definitely said something weird.
No, I get you. The weird thing is, I'm wearing my camping slippers, and they're like duck down slippers, and I'm sweating cobs. I'm taking my camping slippers off because I'm just, what it's like if your feet get too hot, the rest of you is just like really hot. Or maybe it's just because I've turned 50 now and I'm just old and I'm just moaning.
Well, it's doesn't happen that often here in the UK. We might get, a mini weekend heat wave.
Yeah, yeah,
It doesn't. I mean, Glastonbury was on this weekend. I don't think, you know, there must have been people that took wellies that are going, God, the only
yeah,
time I've brought them in 20 years is the only time I don't need them.
yeah, absolutely. It's there must have been a lot of people struggling at Glastonbury, camping in all that heat. It's personally, I wouldn't want to be at a festival in all that extreme heat with those portaloos having all that extreme heat. I mean, like the touch paper, something's going to blow in it. Ooh.
They don't care, Tim. They're off the face.
I've never been. I wouldn't know.
Been twice. Just to check. Just to check.
I've been twice. I only remember half an hour.
Oh dear. Yeah, I mean, I guess, we've talked about it before, haven't we? Check the weather before you go. Whether that is windy conditions, rainy conditions, where you're camping, how you're camping. And heat really comes into that because generally you're away from all your mod cons, which keep you as cool as anything. Or, you've got the dangers of dehydration, heat stroke, poor sleep. So you get a bit agitated. You can get a bit sort of fractious with people and stuff.
Get a bit raggy.
Yeah.
Although the days are longer. So you get those lovely long evenings where you're sitting there and the sun's not setting till it's not even getting dark until after 10 o'clock, and which is lovely.
Well, I think that's the thing, isn't it? And before we get into kind of how do you sort it with bits of gear and what can you buy, which don't get me wrong, I've had a good old look about what would cool you down when you're camping. But there are some of those really, really simple things like good gear choices when you're going away. And, it's really hard to keep a tent in the sun cool. It just is. But what are the other things that you're doing? One, I think what is an absolutely game changer that I've noticed this year, anybody that's, you've done it for a few years, but canvas tents.
Yeah.
Just more breathable.
Totally.
Less stuffy air in a canvas tent than there is in a man-made fibre.
And they do keep you cooler. They keep you cooler than a nylon tent because it's so breathable. There's just a little bit of air moving. Yeah. And what I love about the bell tents, both my bell tents, is the amount of vents on there. And literally, I can zip out the whole base and rise up the whole side, all the way around.
Yeah, I was thinking about that with the bell tents, the cult of bell tents, that you said it before. It was like, oh, you can zip the floor off, but like, who can be asked? I bet there was a lot of people asked this weekend going, put the sides up.
Yeah, if I was camping last weekend in the bell tent, I'd have put the sides up and it would have just been heaven. Would have been absolutely...
just having that breeze coming through, it'd have been brilliant. I did also think as well that, and hear me out with this, how about putting a tarp? So you need some shade. You need some shade while you're away. It's like being on the beach on a really hot day. And if you've got no shade, if you've got kids and stuff, you kind of know that you need to do that. But actually, how would you think about putting a tarp over your tent to create a bit of extra shade?
Well, I've done that in winter or in like when I know it's going to be raining and I've taken a little tent. I've quite often put a tarp up anyway and then put the tent underneath the tarp. But actually, you're spot on. If you put a tarp over your little tent, you're just deflecting some of that heat. And stopping it get on your tent. And if you haven't got a tarp, put your tent, find a site that's in the trees, put your
Yeah.
tent in the shed, find the woods somewhere and go
Yeah, yeah,
camping.
yeah.
Hot weather like this, it's perfect to go camping in the woods because it's gonna be cooler in there.
And what I really love, a lot of the videos that I look at where people are camping and stuff in the height of summer, they don't take the rain fly. So,
Yeah,
I I love tents and I love gear and I love those kind of four season, really light tents like the
Hillibirds.
um, MSR Hubba
Oh,
Hubba,
hubba
where
hubba.
they've got like the tent, but there's less mesh within the inner tent,
Yeah,
so that's also kind of waterproof. And then there's loads of vents. Whereas actually, those tents that are a little bit cheaper, but actually the inner is completely mesh, breathes so much more. Get your vents open. Okay, you've got very little privacy with those things, but you know what? That's what like windbreaks are for. You can put
yeah,
that around.
yeah,
You can
yeah.
even funnel it in, so that you've got some wind coming that way if there's
My
wind.
my North Face Big Fat Frog. And my only sort of pain with that is the fact that it's a pitch inner first. There's been one occasion in my ownership of that tent where I have pitched it just the inner because that's the idea of that tent. It's the idea of most North Face tents, other than the stuff that you can take up a mountain. They they do them as a pitch inner first because actually they're kind of made for California and Arizona and places like that.
Yeah.
But I have years ago I did kip in a mate's garden and it was just going to be it was scorching hot. It was going to be really warm all night and I didn't put the fly on it, and I just put the inner up because it's completely freestanding, and it was great. And it's really low. The sides on it are quite low there, so there's a lot of mesh on there. There was a lot of air moving around, and it was great. And that's exactly what I'd be doing. That would be, if I was going fast and light. I mean, that makes that tent so light because all you're doing is you taking
Yeah.
the inner and a couple of poles. Makes it incredibly lightweight. But then literally you're just camping in the inner, and that's exactly what I'd be camping in if I was camping tonight.
Yeah, just leave some of the tent at home. Obviously, not the poles and the other bit, but I do like those ones that the MSR do, where you can take the inner tent out and use the ground mat and the uh,
The fly.
fly.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, so I mean, essentially that's what they're doing. But you could even just sort of, get rid of the fly completely just so that you've got that breeze and
Mm.
give you a good night's sleep, just so long as you're not expecting rain in any kind of way at all. I think that'd be
No.
really, really good. And then
But
you've got to
even
kind of think about, what you're sleeping in. Anything that's, think more, less man-made fibers and more natural fibers.
yeah.
Those are the things that'll keep you cooler. They react to sort of different body temperatures. Anything that's man-made tends to sort of hold that heat a little bit, which is great when you're in the winter, but it's kind of like using the opposite kind
Yeah.
of in the middle of
Well,
summer.
I would be digging out the summer one season sleeping bag that I've got and probably unzipping it and just using it as a blanket because it's
Yeah,
been that warm. But I certainly wouldn't be taking my North Face Cat's Meow with a comfort range of down to -7.
yeah.
I would be baking. You'd be all right in your snow peak one. I saw on the socials this week you did a little video of how you can unzip the bottom to keep your toes cool.
So you can unzip the whole thing so that you can turn it into a bit of a summer blanket.
You
I
got
know
your
most
you
people.
you got your blanket aid.
I got my blanket. I got my doom barches, and
I'm out of ghost ship. I said ghost ship.
but yeah, I think that's the thing. I'm not the kind of person that can sleep without anything on me. Um, you know, Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
you heard it here first. I'm meaning covers, but think more cotton. And some people just do need like a blanket or something there. But yeah, and once again, I think a lot of lightweight camping stuff. So those air mats and stuff, they're a lot of sort of man-made fibers, and so you can actually be sweating from underneath.
Yeah, you see, I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. You can literally get all sweaty underneath, can't you?
Mm.
Like some of those cheapo air beds that we kind of shout
Yeah,
about quite a lot and say don't use those. They really get you sweaty and horrible underneath.
yeah,
But
yeah,
even
yeah.
even to be honest, even a sim, self-inflated mat, it's got a load of foam in it. It's the ones I own have got a high R rating, so they're there to try and thermally protect you from the cold, but they're
Yeah.
they're they're going to kind of cook you back a little bit as well. It's yeah, I think I'd probably just use a camp bed and with no sim or anything on it, and just try and get a bit of air sort of moving around.
Yeah,
Bit
yeah.
of
I
air under
think,
me, bit of air under me.
yeah. Yeah, I tell you what I did think of, we were talking last week about sleeping bag liners. A
Yeah,
nice little silk sleeping bag liner would keep you lovely and cool.
yes, that's a top tip there, Aid.
I think it really
That's
is
a top
because
tip
it gives
there.
you that sort of like, oh, I'm in a sleeping bag, I'm going to sleep. But it's like not that I've ever had them, but I guess it's like having silk sheets.
Yes. Oh,
A
I
white
do.
chicken, white cow.
Oh, if the red light's on. Don't go to unzip in Aid's tent.
It's probably best not to anyway.
Probably best not. You're probably just picking your toenails or something.
Well, I'm not having a bath, am I?
Well, go on then. So that leads us into personal hygiene, I suppose, because there's. Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Does it? Does it lead us into personal hygiene? For God's sake, Tim.
I
It's like
mean,
you're picking on me now. I feel got
no,
at.
no. I was just gonna say, if you're camping in and it's going to be really warm, think about camping in the woods. But another one is think about camping next to water. And I've camped in a bit of a heat wave next to a river, and it's absolutely brilliant on a morning to go for a swim. Have a wash in the stream, get yourself all nice and
Mm.
clean, cooled down again.
God,
Do
that
it
sounds brilliant.
do it again later in the day, go back in there to cool down when it's getting too hot. And it's just, so think about where you're going to go. Is there a beach next to you? Is there a river somewhere? Can you do a bit of wild swimming? Is
Yep.
there a reservoir? Be safe, everybody. Obviously, make sure you look after your kids and everything else, and take floating devices and things and all that stuff, and be careful around reservoirs. But
Yep. Yep.
all that stuff said, it's absolutely brilliant to just go for a bit of a swim in a river when it's really blooming hot, and it
But
just cools you down.
also, I mean, you make a really good point about, you going camping, you're out in nature. So actually, what are the things that will cool you down and stop you getting to that point where you're overheated and you're dehydrated and stuff like that? But also the air temperature around water bodies. So you've got evaporation and things like that.
Mm.
So actually, on those mornings and stuff, you've got a bit more kind of
It's just a bit of cool air in the air, isn't it?
participation. What's that? No, that's rain, isn't it? But there's
Precipitation.
like water content in the air, which has got
Yeah,
to be cooler.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm not an expert, but I'd say camping next to a river, you're going to feel cooler. You're going to look, that's for sure.
Yes, yes. As long as you can swim and you look a bit like David Hasselhoff coming out of the water.
Oh dear. Right. Okay. I best not then. David Hasselhoff, if he drunk some Doom Bar quite regularly.
To be honest, he looks a bit rough now.
Oh, yeah. Well, if he's still doing it, then I might look better than him. I think the other thing as well, I mean, we've said about hydration and stuff like that, but don't forget your SPF. Got to have some
Yes.
protection. Once again, that's going to stop you overheating. It's going to protect you from the sun. You're going to have a better night's sleep if you're not because you're not red raw because you've
Yeah.
burnt in
Burnt
the sun.
everywhere. Although we did see at the show at Liverpool, Craghoppers are bringing out that amazing UV protection clothing stuff.
Clothing with a
They're
label that
yeah,
changes color for UV lighting,
yeah,
so it tells you when you're in danger.
and protects you from it. Doesn't pass through the material. But they're their new base layers, so
Yeah,
they'd be like perfect stuff to
yeah,
keep the sun
yeah.
off you, keep you
Yeah, I mean,
protected.
there's some great stuff out there. I mean, that's coming out early next year, I think, for next year.
Mm,
But really impressed with Craghoppers and the kind of future thinking that they're doing in regards to clothes. I really have overlooked Craghoppers over the years in favour of things like Snow Peak, but Snow Peak aren't doing anything like that, are they?
they're absolutely not doing anything like that. It's no,
I bet
it's
they'll be stealing some of that ideas.
yeah. Well, you never know. The good thing with the impressive one of the impressive things with Craghoppers is they make all that stuff. It's like new technology that they're
Yeah,
kind of making and inventing. So they're kind of at the forefront, which is really cool. They're not just nicking it from somebody else. It's but that's quite cool. Being by a river is good in one way because it keeps you cool, but it's bad in another because you're just going to get absolutely bitten to high heaven by mozzies,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is which is which is a danger, sort of probably an unthought of danger if you're camping in the heat because the insects and not just the mozzies really. It's the bees, the wasps, and all sorts of stuff. They all go a bit nuts in the hot weather, and you just got to be a little bit careful. You got to have your bug spray and everything else, and if you're somewhere where mozzies are going to be really bad, whether you take a little device to get rid of them, whether you take sort of head nets and things like that. It's you just got to be again. It's about being prepared, isn't it? Thinking about where you're going,
Yeah, yeah,
making sure you've got a hat. Simple low tech
yeah,
stuff. It's great to take the UV stuff, but actually, if you just put a hat on your head, it actually just keeps a lot of the heat off, and
yeah,
can prevent you having sunstroke.
yeah. I think like you say, low tech stuff. It's all out there. We've been doing it for thousands of years. Just
Mm,
takes a little bit of thinking if you know it's going to be really hot. Best bug thing for me though is just have a fire. Gets rid of
yeah,
most of them. They
yeah,
just don't like hanging around in smoke.
yeah. Good shout. Although the hotter it gets, we've already had wildfires in the UK this summer,
Oh,
and
yes.
you've got to be super careful. If it's been really warm for a while, the ground is like tinder, and any little spark is going to go, and you think you might be able to stop it, but actually. Wildfires just go crazy, all over the world. There's some horrific ones in North America, Australia, Indonesia.
Well,
It's
in the UK, I was watching Country File this weekend, and they were like, "There's been quite a lot already." Um,
huge area of Speyside up in Scotland is just burnt, and it's
yeah,
so you got to be careful. In real heat, a lot of areas actually just ban fires, and
yeah,
and
they've started to. That's what they were saying on this, that they are starting to use some of those North American fire bans in certain places. Um, but if you're on a campsite, which most of us are, you know, raise your fire off. Be having dry wood. It's less sparky, it's less crackly. The
mm,
water content in that is much reduced. There are those things that you can do, and I will always advocate having a fire because I love burning stuff. I think it's one of the key joys to getting out there, but I can see the threat of
yeah,
lots of other things. You don't want to be that person that has accidentally started something. But I was camping last weekend, Tim, and there was a wheat field opposite us on a river. And I was like, "Oh, I'm a little bit nervous to have a
Yeah, I
fire
bet.
just in
I bet.
case."
I bet.
But, started it small, and it was fine. The wood was good. It was burning old pallets, I have to say, and that was not sparky at all because they were dry as a bone.
Gosh.
But yeah, no, I was mindful of it. But yeah, I think that's the thing, that you're on site. You've got to make sure that you're following their rules and stuff. But it was raised off the ground. I once went camping in some woods, and the following morning, this is 20, 30 years ago,
Mm.
and I was surprised. We just had a fire on the ground in the wood, and the amount of debris that before it had hit dirt, and in the morning there was like little kind of spiders' legs of where it had burnt under the ground and gone off a little bit.
Gosh, wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
yeah,
You
always made me
do.
quite nervous then.
Yeah, you do have to be really careful. And when we went camping to Fire and Stars in the woods,
Yes.
clear it all away, clear the debris well away from your fire.
I was a young'un back then. It was more in that I need to get a fire on.
Just need to burn stuff.
Ooh.
And that's the thing. You're not going to need a fire for the heat because you're going to be too hot. But actually, if you're in a group of people, what else are you going to look at if you don't like the fire? You're going to have to, what are you going to do?
Interact.
I don't go camping with other people to interact with people.
Well, because I was away last weekend, just for a quick one night camping, took the swag, was really quite nice and cool. It was really quite nice on blackout.
So swag a lot.
So swag a lot, yes. I can't take it in a couple of weeks because I might be going camping with the guy that left that review. Listen back, people. Listen back 2 or 3 episodes if you didn't catch it. But yeah, it was a nice, quick overnight camping. They would allow barbecues, but wouldn't allow open fires.
Okay. I always think that's a bit funny, really, because those barbecues.
It's a weird kind of.
It's a weird thing, isn't it? Allow a rubbish barbecue that will, that has killed more camping people from carbon monoxide than anything else in the camping field.
Yeah.
But don't allow you to have a proper fire pit with a proper fire and well controlled and everything else. I always find that a bit weird. It's just like, where are you coming from?
And it was the side of a farm. It was in Worcestershire, and actually there was only 2 people camping in the field with us.
Gosh,
it's a massive big field, nice little stream at the bottom of it. It felt really, really secluded. But actually, so I cooked on my barbecue, created some nice coals, got that on, just very, cordoned off the area with vans, cars, and a windbreak so nobody could really see. And then just kept the fire, the barbecue, going. The barbecue.
Fire. The barber fire.
And then left some reviews. I was like, honestly, in this day and age, people there was only 3 of us there. So they obviously were more meaning, or not obviously, but I think that they were meaning they don't want scorch marks on the ground.
Yeah.
So,
but a lot of sites have got wise to that now, and they kind of say as long as it's a raised fire pit that isn't going to mark the ground, which is why when I bought the winner well, I bought the additional sort of tray table that it can sit on. You don't need to use that, but it just gives that extra protection, and it just means I'm pretty much guaranteed to be able to have a fire wherever I go because it's just belt and braces. It's not going to mark anything, and I get that, they don't want the grass damaging.
They don't want it spoiled.
In this heat, they ain't got no grass. It's all dead. Yeah. It's all brown anyway.
But yeah, and it kind of worked all right, and it wasn't there for heat. We didn't need a very big fire, and yeah, it was just very nice. But I kept a kebab on the edge of the thing with the grill plate on, just in case anybody came around and go, it's my barbecue.
It's my barbecue. I'm just doing my last kebab.
Would you'd starve us.
That's quite
Oh
funny.
dear.
That's quite funny. You weren't prepared to have the conversation, so you just kept a
No,
you just kept a kebab on there all night because
How
you weren't prepared to
manipulative
go.
am I?
Oh, that's funny. That is funny.
I was camping with my mate Chris. He was like eyeing it up. I was like, no, Chris, that's just in case.
We might
Would
want to
you see
fire
us
in the morning.
freeze? Yeah.
Did you bag it up and take it home? Will it come out again, that same one? Just so we know never to eat that one.
Hey, don't get people worried about camping food from Ade. It's always top notch.
It is always top notch. You are the camping chef. It's I bow to you. Although, I'm getting better. I am getting better. Now I've got proper equipment to cook stuff. I'm getting more adventurous. I am hankering for I want to do a big stew over an open fire in my cast iron. I want to really sort of slowly do a big beef stew with a load of veggies in there, and then stick some dumplings in and just let it all just marinate and just bubble away and more, and then get a big thing of crusty bread and just dip it in it.
No double dipsies though, Tim. No double dipsies.
I didn't say I was sharing.
You can't make me mouth water that much and then oh, you can't have any, you bugger.
I don't share food.
Very good, very good. Well done.
Oh man! But I don't think I'd be taking a big stew on a hot camping trip. Do you know what's great? And I've started doing it first night of camp. I've stopped worrying about what I'm cooking first night of camp because Alex, my other half, she's just introduced me to just make some sandwiches. And I always feel a little bit like I'm cheated because sandwiches to me is like a lunch, not an evening meal. But I have to say, when you've put all the camping stuff up and you're a bit hot and it's just and you're a bit tired and it's just I just want to drink, I actually don't want to set to starting to make a massive meal. And actually, if you just make some sandwiches and have some crisps, it's great. And it's also a really cool meal, as in cold. So it's a nice thing to kind of eat if you're going somewhere and it's really hot camping. Just take sandwiches. Don't worry about cooking a load of stuff because you want to eat it anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Get some really nice sandwich filler. Keep it in the cool box so it's nice and cold. And then just make some sandwiches.
Have some snacks with it.
It's great. It's absolutely great. I'm a total convert.
That's a proper top tip there, Tim.
Sandwiches in the camping field. I'm all over it.
So it wouldn't be a casual camping advice kind of podcast if we didn't talk about some gear. So I've got some low-tech stuff and I've got some high-tech stuff.
Go for it.
Okay, so low-tech stuff, and I learned this many, many years ago, that have you ever sort of jumped in the sea on a windy day and then you get out and you're more cold out of the water than you are in? Yes. So bear that in mind, right? So you can get any amount of very cheap fans that work off batteries, that you can plug them into your battery pack or whatever that you take camping, right?
Mm-hmm.
Flannel on water on your chest while you're sleeping. Air blowing on that keeps you cool, keeps you really cool.
That is proper low tech, but actually that's really old.
It's old school, isn't it?
It's like ancient old school because isn't that how they kept water cold in like Egypt and places like that? They had those massive terracotta urns. And the water, because they're not glazed, the water does come through them, but the outside with the wind blowing on it keeps the inside of it really cold. So the water
Wow.
stays really cold inside those urns, and that's how they have cold water. Exact same principle. Somebody will know the science behind that, and they'll be going,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's thermo bada bada bada." But we just go, "It's a cold wet flannel."
Face cloth to somebody that,
Someone
but,
posh.
that could be a t-shirt, put it in, wring it out a little bit, pop that on, fan on you. You'll be chilly
Yeah,
no matter what.
yeah. Good
So
shout.
really low tech, and all you need is like a £10 fan.
Yeah.
You could even do one of those handheld fans, there. But and then I did go for some really high tech. So there is something called a Total Cool 3000 portable air cooler in green or
Ooh.
grey.
Ooh.
That's £300, and yeah, it's not an actual AC unit, but it's working off those principles.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, if you've got a 30-degree tent, it'll take sort of quite a few degrees off that to cool it down and move the air around. Bit more than an actual fan.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, yeah, lower indoors, but not down to kind of like any kind of really chilly figures that an
Yes.
AC unit would.
Cool. Cool. How much was that?
So that is £299.
Wow. Wow. So I
Oh,
I read I read something, or I was talking to somebody the other day, and there's one of the big sensations in the heat wave, certainly over here in the UK, is there's cool blankets. So a
yes.
blanket that actually actively keeps you quite cool, and you sleep on top of them, and they sort of cool you down. They're really quite expensive, but somebody was telling me that they've done them for dogs for years, and it's only now that they're making larger ones for humans, but they've done them for dogs for years. And if you go to the pet shop, you can get it for like a third of the price by just going and buying a dog one, and it's exactly the same thing. But it's just
Right.
the same technology, but you can just get it really cheap. I don't know how the technology
Well,
works. That's not what I'm here for. But
no, it's not what we're here for. And I thought you'd like this one because you're a real fan of EcoFlow, the
ooh,
batteries, aren't they?
you mean EcoFlow? EcoFlow. I just always remember that guy from the show that was talking about it. And his voice was just so funny. It's like EcoFlow. I do the EcoFlow. I can't do his voice, but
Ah.
it was funny.
It's brilliant. So, can you see that little beauty?
Oh, that looks nice. That's like something off a spaceship.
So, that is an portable air conditioning unit. So, it's the EcoFlow Wave 3.
Ooh,
And yeah, that's 1800 watts and 6100 BTU cooling. Um,
wow.
so,
And
it
it
can
looks cool.
also, yeah, I mean, it looks proper cool. Um, but yeah, you can add batteries to it, so you can have an extra battery so that if you add the extra battery, it'll last for 8 hours. And if you plug it into the mains, it'll charge itself back up again. But um,
Wow.
the yeah, I mean it's £800 is the Wave
Yeah.
3 in itself,
Wow.
and the Wave 3 with an extra battery.
Go on.
The extra battery in itself is £600. So,
Wow.
but if you're going to hot countries, you might sort of think of something like that. Get your solar panels out to charge it up overnight and stuff. The other thing that you've got to think about is, your tents are breathable units, and if they're man-made fibers, they are breathable in themselves because they've got those flaps. But so it won't hold on to it very long, but it'll
Yeah.
keep you cool when you
Just
need it.
I just got to take his back a step there because
Yeah.
you actually just said use your solar panels if you want to charge it through the night. Can I just point out to you that the sun's not there, Ed?
I didn't say through the night, did I? I just meant you could charge it in the day.
No,
Did I?
you said through the night. I'm sure you said through the night.
Sorry. Take the unit through the night, so
I
you
know.
want the extra panel.
I'm only winding you up. I'm only winding. Everybody knows.
I know I
what you
don't
mean.
keep that much of I go all over the place in my conversations, but it's a conversation.
I
It's
mean,
not a fact sheet.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that's something we haven't really touched on is get your solar panels out. It's
Yeah, free energy, people. Get some solar panels if you've not.
yeah, literally charge your devices up, charge all of this stuff up for free out wherever you are because the sun is shining and it's just giving you free energy. So get them out. If you haven't got them, as you say, go and get some because it's free energy, people. And solar panels now, they work really, really well. It's not like the stuff from 10 years ago.
Yeah,
It's it works
updating
really well.
them all the time. But yeah, I mean that's the thing. There are panels out there. There are people that are looking at these things. You can get fridges now that do an awful lot. Just
Yeah.
all those things that are coming in handy.
Well,
But
people, the technology for cool boxes and things, we haven't touched on that because we talked about that at length in other episodes, but there are now freezers. The technology is moving so quickly that there are now freezers that there's absolutely no reason why you can't have an ice lolly out there in the camping field because some of these powered fridges and freezers they're so economical in how much power they consume. And if you stick up a load of solar panels as well when you're out there, you haven't got to worry about it. Literally, you can be taking ice cream out into the camping field in this hot weather and be really comfortable and enjoying yourself.
For those American listeners, Tim, what is an ice lolly in America?
It'd be I don't know. What's an ice lolly in America?
Ice pop?
Ice pop? Ice pop? Soda pop? I don't know.
You made my eyes pop?
Answers on a postcard, on a
Yes,
stuck down envelope. And
Led, you'll be able to help us out on this one, my good man.
Oh, did you see his trip to the beach? Oh, I was proper jealous. That
I was saying,
does it
does he ever do anything by half? He does not.
No. He's 110% for everything, isn't it? I mean,
He's
that guy is committed to everything he does.
Everything he does.
Yeah,
I love it.
Looked like a legendary trip to the beach,
Yeah.
and just I wish we lived close, lad. Wish we lived close. We'd be annoying the hell out of you all the time.
We'd be your stalkers.
Yes, we would. Oh man, yes. Should we disappear for a minute, mindfulness, and let everybody try and cool down a little bit? Should we give them some rain?
Give them crickets, Tim. Give them crickets.
Welcome to the Casual Camping Minute Mindfulness. Let the sounds of nature take you back to the camping field.
Ah, there you go, crickets. Yeah, I'm so tempted to put in there actually just the sound of people playing cricket. I'm going to the cricket on Saturday, the day after this goes out, and it's forecast to rain.
Brilliant.
It's been great sunshine all the way through, but there you go, sod's law. But
well,
that's the way it rumbles or crumbles or whichever way it is.
So I think it's just down to us to say thank you for staying till the end. Don't forget that we are on Facebook, Instagram, all the various sites, as well as some YouTube things. You can find a smattering of us all over the place. We do try to...
We are smattered everywhere, aren't we? We're literally smattered everywhere.
We've got stickers everywhere. We're smattered everywhere. We try bits and pieces. And yeah.
I've got one last social shout out, which I know. But this guy's clearly off his rocker. He's not right. So this is Simon Kelly. And Simon Kelly, and he's in Bonnie, Scotland. And he says, I've finally caught up now after 2 trips to London and Canterbury. Some say 14 hours of casual camping in one sitting is commitment. I think there's something slightly disturbed about you. But thank you for that level of commitment, because that's impressive. We can't be doing that bad, Ade, if somebody can listen to 14 hours of you and I talking utter tripe.
Well, I think it's that thing of if it's the stuff that you're interested in, and we do talk a lot of nonsense. We do laugh an awful lot. And thanks for joining us on that journey, Si.
Yeah. That's very cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
All right then, everybody. Try and stay cool. It's going to get a bit cooler this weekend, but then it's going to get hot again in the UK next week. It's hot in lots of places in the world. So get out there camping, but be a bit sensible. Be safe. Don't try and set anything else on fire. And just
get your flannels out.
Get your flannel on your chest and get somebody to fan you.
Like you're in India in the 1800s.
Yes, and send us photos. Put it on the group. All right, then. I've been Tim. Bye.
And I've been Ade.
Casual Camping Podcast accepts no liability and does not officially recommend any products or endorse any techniques discussed in an individual podcast episode or shown on Casual Camping Podcast social media accounts. Individuals should make their own informed decision and risk assessment of any products or advice prior to any purchase or use.